Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne and today's video is another What's for Dinner video. I have 4 really delicious recipes to share with you. They're quick and easy and full of flavor. But before I get started, I just wanted to say that if you are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I hope that you consider subscribing before you leave. I like to post What's for Dinner and other recipe videos along with grocery hauls, and I do like to throw in some vlogs along the way as well. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button with a little thumbs up next to it below the video, because that really does help me out. All right, let's get into the first recipe. So for this first meal, we're gonna start out with getting our meat ready. I have some chicken legs and chicken thighs. They have skin on, bone in, and I just have them in a greased baking dish, drizzled with some olive oil, and now we're gonna add on some paprika and some salt. I feel like my salt shaker does not come out very fast, so I just skipped that and poured it into my hand and sprinkled it on. And then we're gonna also add some garlic powder, onion powder, and parsley, and then we will flip the chicken over and do it to the other side as well. If you wanted, you could mix this all together in a bowl or in like a large Ziploc bag, but to me that's just dirtying something else. So I just did it this way and it worked out fine, but you can go ahead and do it however you're comfortable. And I baked this in the oven at 425 for about 40 to 45 minutes. If you're really concerned about it, you can make sure to use your meat thermometer and make sure you get it to fully cooked. And then while that was going, we moved on to our side dishes. Let me say that our side dishes came out so good. For the first side, I started with a couple of large potatoes that I washed, and we're just cubing them up into about even sized chunks. I did not peel my potatoes, but you could if you wanted. And you just want to get them as even as possible so that they cook about the same, but it's kind of hard to always get them exactly the same. They'll be fine. But we're going to get these into a large pot and we're going to cover them with cold water. And I do salt the water, and then we're going to bring that to a boil for about 8 to 10 minutes until they are fork tender. Once they are done, we drain them really well, put them into a greased baking dish. And once again, I don't have exact measurements here, but I drizzled with some ranch dressing until it just looked good. Gave them a really good toss. And then I'm adding in some bacon pieces. I think I just did what was left in this bag, so that was maybe a 1/4 cup. And as you saw, I used 2 large potatoes for this, but you can make more based on your family size. And then I'm just sprinkling in some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And then we're gonna just put this in the oven for about 10 to 15-ish minutes. I did it at 425 because that's what the oven was already at for the chicken. And then I pulled it out. I realized I should have, I pulled it out, this is after the 10 minutes. And then I realized I should have salted them, so I just put on some salt and a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then threw it back in the oven for just a couple minutes to get that cheese melted. While all of that was going on, I steamed up some green beans. I know it doesn't look like very much, but I just did it in the pot that I had boiled the potatoes in to save myself dishes, so it doesn't look like a whole lot in there. And I just added in about a tablespoon of butter and a little bit of salt, and then I sprinkled on some more of that freshly grated Parmesan cheese for some Parmesan, green beans, and this is the potatoes when they were all done. The green beans and the chicken came out so good, and everything was so full of flavor. I will do my best to have everything written out below for you. Once again, no specific measurements, but nonetheless, I'll have it written out. This next dinner is a favorite of ours. We have some ground beef ramen, I don't remember what it's called. I will have the recipe linked below, although I'm not following it exactly, but I will have that listed for you in the description box. But I am browning up 1 pound of ground beef along with cooking up some onion. We're gonna go until the meat is cooked, and I like my onions nice and translucent. Drain any grease if you have any. I don't usually have any because our ground beef is very lean. And then I chopped up some carrots, or sliced up some carrots into little matchsticks. You can also buy them cut up that way, but I like freshly cut carrots. I feel like they're sweeter and have a better taste, and it's worth a little bit of effort that this takes. Once again, the measurements will be in the description box. I will say there's a couple things I'm doing different that I will tell you right now. For the sauce, I am about 2.5 timesing it, is that the thing? Making about 2.5 times the recipe, but I'm using coconut aminos, or you can use soy sauce, brown sugar, sriracha, and some minced garlic. Once again, I'm about doubling it or 2.5 timesing it. Why am I trying to do that again? But the ratios and everything will be in the recipe that I have linked for you. But I always want more sauce. Plus, this is the other thing I'm changing, is the recipe calls for 2 packs of ramen. We do 4. We always have leftovers, and we never feel like there's enough noodles in the leftovers, so I'm doing 4 packages, and we're just cooking that in boiling water for, I think they take 3 minutes. And then we are going to drain them. And I'm mixing everything in this pot because I do not have a pan big enough. I always struggle with this. So once the noodles are drained, I'm combining the ground beef and the onions and the carrots in there, and then we're going to give that a toss. I like to use tongs because it helps kind of break up the noodles. And then you can see on the side there, I'm steaming up some broccoli, and oh wait, before we get to the broccoli, I'm going to pour the sauce on here and mix that up really good. Then once the broccoli is all done, I did take mine out and chop it up on a cutting board. Well, that's not really relevant if it was on a cutting board or not. I don't know why I said that, but I did chop it up because I wanted bite-sized pieces because I like to be able to get everything all in one bite. So now we're adding in the cooked broccoli, and we're going to toss that together really good. So, love this dinner. We make this not nearly as often as we should, but we have made this several times. If you like this video and enjoy seeing recipes and meal ideas, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing before you leave so you don't miss out on my future videos. Here it is, all plated up. My husband likes his with some water chestnuts and cashews, so that's also an option as well. Dinner is so good and makes for excellent leftovers as well. So this next dinner is a 1-pot ham and penne dish, and you're going to start by putting about a tablespoon of olive oil in a large skillet and heating that up, and then you're going to saute about a 1/2 cup of chopped onion and 3 cups of fully cooked ham. I use the Never Any pre-sliced and cooked ham from Aldi, and I just cut that up. Once the onions are nice and translucent, you're going to add in your seasoning. We've got 3 cloves of minced garlic, about, of course I'm not measuring any of this, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried parsley, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper if you like to cook with pepper. I don't, so I always omit that, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You're going to let that cook for 1 to 2 minutes, and then we're going to add in our broth. You want 3 cups of chicken broth, and I have mine that I made from like chicken bones and stuff in the freezer, so mine were not fully thawed, as you can see. So I put 3 cups of chicken broth and then 2 cups of milk. It calls for 2% milk. I use just almond milk, which does not have as much fat, but it still worked out okay. And I used less milk because I had a little bit more than 3 cups of chicken broth. And then you want to add in a 1/4 cup of flour. Now the recipe says to just put that all in there together, but I would recommend actually before adding the liquids, put in the flour because I feel like you can mix it in a little bit better. Then add in the liquids, and then you're going to add in 1 pound of uncooked noodles. I put mine in just a little at a time because I was trying not to splatter it, and I honestly wasn't sure if it was going to fit in this pan. But you're going to let that come to a boil and then simmer for 10 to 12 minutes, or I would say until your noodles are cooked. Mine took a little bit longer. Then you're going to add 2 cups of frozen peas that have been thawed, or I guess you could do canned, I don't know. I don't like peas, so I did make peas on the side for my husband, and instead I steamed up some broccoli on the side. I would have put it right there in the same skillet, but I did not have any more room. But you want to add in the peas and let it simmer for a few minutes until the peas are warm, and then sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on top. So since I ran out of room in my skillet, I just put this all into a large casserole dish, mixed in the Parmesan cheese, and then added in the steamed broccoli, and then mixed that all together and topped with a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And this was really, really good. Personally, I felt like there was a little bit too much ham, but I also don't know that I actually measured the ham. So either way, this was a really, really good dish, very delicious, and a nice switch up from what we normally have. So for this next dinner, we're going to be having some steak bites. So I'm starting by cutting up my steak. I think using sirloin, but I don't really remember. We purchased a half of a cow, last year, and we've got all different cuts. So I just pulled one out and thawed it, and that's what I went with. But I'm going to cut that up into about 1-inch pieces or so, and then we're going to make a marinade for it, and that is a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. I use coconut aminos instead of soy sauce, but either one will work fine. 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of dried basil, 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, which once again I omitted because I don't like to cook with pepper personally. And we are just going to mix that together and then pour that over our pieces of steak and let that marinate in the refrigerator. You can do that for 15 minutes up to 24 hours. Of course, the longer you do it, the more flavorful and tender your steak will be. I did mine for probably about 3 hours. So once we were ready to have dinner, I went ahead and got some green beans on the stove to steam up, as well as some riced cauliflower. I normally do our riced cauliflower in a skillet, but I only have one large one, and I needed that for the steak, so I just put it in a medium saucepan. I just put the riced cauliflower in by itself, and there's enough moisture, it never burns for me, and I just basically cook it until it's thawed. So for the steak bites, we're going to just heat up over a medium to high heat. I did like just below medium because I was just afraid of splatter. But anyway, you're going to heat it up and put in some oil. I think I ended up using avocado oil, but I'm sure you could use olive oil as well. And then using a slatted spoon, we're just going to take the steak bites out of the marinade and put them into the hot skillet and let those cook for about maybe 3 to 7 minutes, depending on how well done you like your steak cooked. And this was a really easy dinner. I did put some butter in our riced cauliflower because we were going to be serving it underneath the steak, so I wanted it to already be in there. And very quick and easy dinner to put together. The cooking part of all of this was like under 20 minutes, and so very quick and easy to put together, especially if you get your steak marinating the day before. Well guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, if you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss out on my future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.